Welcome everybody. This is, I think we're in March, right? So this is the second 1 to 4 star legendary leadership mastermind. Thank you guys for coming on board. Ashley and I are going to lead this this call for you guys with our hot seat guest, which is Emily Fauver. I'm sure no one needs to introduce her because we all know what a freaking rock star she is and a blessing to the network. Well, both of you guys, Ashley and Emily, just a force and have taught us so much about building this business with so much enthusiasm and power and uniqueness and creativity that it's just mind-blowing. So this is your call. Like Danielle explained last week, you guys, the 1 to 4 stars that are on this call, this is your call. It belongs to you. However, before we jumped into some of the questions that were posed in the group, as well as the ones we're going to take today, and we're going to move fast. Today was or is Elite Report Day. So the second Friday of every month, you guys should know that your back office will reflect your new elite report. So that happened today. If you haven't checked, you need to check. And you need to make sure that you're on that. So I was just talking to Ashley and I said, it'd be cool to kind of take Emily back to when she first went for Elite and to see when those reports come out, like what's the process. And actually I'll ask you too, but let's start with Emily. Like, what is it that you do when that report comes out? I want you to go back to that first year though, that you were an elite coach. What strategies did you think about? What was on your mind when you saw your numbers? What action did you take so that you could go on to lock it in?
Okay, so it's so hard to remember, but I felt like in the beginning, something like Ashley taught me and some other people too, is just not to focus so much on numbers and get so caught up in trying to figure out, points or how far ahead you are of someone or, whatever. And so something I feel like I've done is just, I look at the points and then I just get to work. I don't spend a lot of time. I actually haven't even looked at my report yet. I know it's probably what you want to hear because I just keep doing what I'm doing every single month, regardless of what the points say. I feel like when I get caught up in points, I try to do what someone else is doing or try to watch someone else too much. And then it's like, it's almost the whole stay in your lane type thing. So instead of coming up with looking at the points, I come up with benchmarks of every category that I want. And so for me, that first year when Elite was actually my first year in top 10 too, I now will be like, I know I want this many people in Success Club regardless. And then I go through every single month and make sure that they are, wait, that's loud. They're on their, I'm on the way to that number. And then, I want to make sure I have this many success starters every single month. And that, you know what I mean? So it's not so much of me looking at my report, but just keep doing the same things that I've been doing every single month. And just hope that it just, it naturally happens because it has.
Okay, awesome. Ashley, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I do think it's important to have milestone, ideas in your brain of what you should be shooting for every month. And it was actually different with Emily because the first year that she went Elite, she went top 10, which is not always common. So her milestone, when we started strategizing, it was like, okay, here's your goals. And they were crazy, where the first year it was try to get Success Club 100. You need 15 people in Success Club. But so her, where her numbers are different than where most of you guys are probably going to be and where you feel comfortable, where I was, probably you too, Kristina. The first year that I remember going for Elite, first of all, I missed it. So I would say if any of you guys have on your vision board Premier this year, I'm guessing you don't, but if you do, you should always shoot for the highest possible. And then if you fall short, then you'll still probably get Premier, but you should all be shooting for Elite this year. And then it's breaking it down, working backwards. So they have, Beachbody has a great goal guide to say, this is how many people you need to hit Success Club, hit Success Club every month. And I think if you focus on you hitting Success Club, obviously, and then recruiting 2 to 3 new coaches a month minimum and helping people that count, which means that they've enrolled this year or in 2019, that count towards your Elite, you help them hit Success Club. And then of course, as you're enrolling people, you're helping people help even just one person, because there's that PS+1 category, and we can kind of walk through them if you guys want. But if you do that, the volume is going to take care of itself. So, you know, just focus on you hitting Success Club, you recruiting coaches, and you helping those coaches hit Success Club, or at least be in Success Club building activity, meaning they're helping at least connect one person within their first month. And if you do that, then you don't have to focus on like long-term. And what I will also caution you against is say, I want to be elite this year. I think it's way better to say, I need to help. Like if you have those numbers monthly, I need to help this number of people monthly, because if you give yourself all year, you'll allow yourself all year. And then that's why there are so many people scrambling at the end of the year, November and December, freaking out, trying to lock this in. But if you just focus on, here's what I need to do monthly, and you chip away at that goal every month, then it'll be on lock basically. And most of the time, I feel like what happens your first year is you just have to worry about the diamonds. If you track the points, the diamonds will happen. If you track the points monthly, the points will happen, and then it's just about finding the leaders. So we can dive into that too, but that's where I think is a good place to start. Focusing on, and what is your goal, right? If your goal is just elite, then the numbers that I just said are going to be good. But if your goal is to be top 50, or your goal is to be, you know, more than that, then you'll want to look at the numbers and say, you know, what does that equate to? I can tell you on average, I think that they say, I mean, not that you guys don't have to shoot for top 10, but just to give you a gauge, I think that they have, Emily, is it like on average, Doug said they have 20 people in Success Club, 20 personally sponsored coaches that count in Success Club. So if you're anywhere in between the 3 that you need every month and 20, then you'll be, you know, that will affect your rank as you go higher in the company. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such great advice from both of them. For me, I don't put up those giant numbers, but I'm going to be elite by probably May, June for my 9th year in a row. So this has become one of my superpowers, is consistency and hitting elite. And I do shoot for top 50 every single year. I don't leave things by chance. Like, I don't sit and pray like, oh, I hope I squeeze by those 10 points every single month. I literally know how many points I will have, because I look at my numbers. I look at myself. I say, what are my strengths? What were my strengths this month? What were my weaknesses? Did I not sponsor enough working coaches? Did I not hit high enough Success Club numbers? I just get real with myself and take action, right? So your points today, they are what they are. And the only way you get from this day to Elite 2021 is if you get real with yourself and you are on top of this and you know how to get points. You cannot earn, I mean, maybe it's happened where people hit elite by accident. I don't think I've ever heard of somebody doing it by accident. You just got to know. And when you master the system, you know exactly the action steps that it's going to take to get there. If you don't have a Success Club base, that's where you have to focus, right? If you're hitting Success Club, great. But if you don't have that base of coaches hitting Success Club that count for elite, then that has to be your focus. So you have to look at, and we're going to talk about it because we had questions come in about, you know, how do we find the working coaches? How do we motivate the coaches that were once motivated to keep going? Where are my diamonds at? Like, if you get real with that, there's no reason why you cannot end this year as an elite coach. You got to master the system and master the action steps that takes you to elite, which is absolutely, and I mean, every problem solver in this business legit comes down to recruiting. You want more income? Recruit. You want to be elite? Recruit. You want everything. You want to advance in rank? You got to recruit. And the more you do it, the bigger your income. Like, it literally all boils down to that. So that has to be the focus. Okay, so enough of me. Let's go back to Emily. And one of the questions in the group was about if you have coaches come on board and they're motivated and they're hitting Success Club, and then they fall off track, right? Like they disappear, they lose motivation. What do you do with those coaches? How do you re-engage them, if at all? And just any help in that regard.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, I feel like I try to pay attention to those people a lot in my back office. If, they hit Success Starter and then the next month they don't do anything, I'll reach out to them personally, or I will make a group, I'm a big fan of group chats. So I'll make group chats of people that, we're doing really well in the beginning and need that, extra oomph or whatever again. And so group chats is something I do. I do group chats for, which I know Ashley does this too, at the end of the month when people are at like SE2 or SE4, I'll make a chat of everyone that's SE2 and everyone that's SE4, and this will help with elite points too. And that way it's just like a push. I'm not having to really do the pushing because Jessica's in there like, okay, I just lost my last person. And then now Jennifer is excited to do that because she saw Jessica do it and so on. And so that has been so helpful. But as far as when people just fall off track, I think it's just noticing them and linking them up with someone else that might be feeling the same exact way, getting on a call with them. I think honestly, just being noticed so they don't just feel like they're forgotten about.
Awesome. Ashley, any insight on that?
I think one of the big things is recognition, and this is kind of building a system of, so I don't know if I have necessarily insight different from Emily on if someone hits Success Club and then they fall off. I do the things that Emily said, but in addition, you should be recognizing with your team, even if you have a really small team, right? Even if it's just you, I don't know, getting in the practice of recognizing things that you want them to do. So every time, if you don't have anyone hitting Success Club yet, but you have a coach that sold a challenge pack, then you make a big deal about that in your team page, or even you shout them out publicly, whatever you feel comfortable with, right? But if you've got, those of you that are 4-star diamonds, you've got some teams. So I've been really bad lately, again, just because of this season of my life. But last year, one of the things that worked really well for me that I'm hoping to get back to this year is every week updating a Success Club leaderboard. So I'll put where people are at. They've helped, 1 person, 2 people, or 3+ people who've locked it in. I also put on there, here, I think I have one up. Let me show you guys. It's very old, but or this one's not old. Hold on, let me share my screen. So this is what I publish weekly in my team page. So we have our star diamonds here. We have the other current diamonds. And this, people like to see their faces. So this helps keep them motivated. And if you have emeralds, put them on here. If you don't have diamonds yet or too many diamonds, but putting them on there because they like their names to be on the right. And then you put in who's achieved Success Club so far, who's won away, and who's on the board, and post this weekly to cheer them on, get them, excited. And then I also have a cover photo that I do. This is Canva, you guys, if you don't use Canva. That's amazing. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, so then, is that what it's called? Cover photo. So this is what I upload as my cover photo in my personally sponsored coaches team page every month. And this includes people, you can see, I shout out what I want people to do. So you can see I have new rock stars here on the left, people that helped at least 1 person their first month, people who hit Success Club in their first month, people who hit it their first 2 months. And then over here, I have their photos if they're a success starter. I shout out new emeralds, new, any new advancements, the current diamonds, the star diamonds, and then of course anyone that hits Success Club. So these are just different kind of things that I do to recognize people, because people do. I remember Danielle, when I very first started, Danielle would just like screenshot an Excel document and put it in the team page and be like, here's our top 10 for the week. Not a fancy graphic, nothing special about it. And I wanted to be on that so bad. And so I worked hard. And I remember the first time my name was on it, I messaged someone, Kim Lima, actually, whose name had been on it all the time. And I was like, how do I stay on here, right? People just want to know that they're doing something. And the other thing that's cool is if you share that in your bigger team page, then someone like me or Emily or Kristina or whatever will comment on that. And then they feel even more special. So I think it's just shouting out and spending a lot of time on that recognition, no matter how small your team is, and getting into those routines now so that people come on, they're like, oh, I have it on my goal board. I've had coaches say, my goal is to be on your top 10, or my goal is to be on this board weekly or whatever, when they're brand new coaches. So anyway, long answer, but
Love it. I'll just add, I know, Nicole, you were the one that asked the question and you're on our team. I'll just add that, when you have someone come on board and lose the motivation, a simple, are you okay? Or how are you doing goes a long way. I learned that at Entre Leadership. It literally changes everything. When someone knows that you have their back, more likely than not, they'll pick it back up. Talk to people, get them on the phone, ask them if they're okay. Talk to them about, what is it that changed, and then help them realign with their vision and their why and their goals. Like, just be human. And I think that will help reinvigorate some coaches. Some get used to the fact that it won't help. They're not going to do it, and that's fine. Get over it and move on into new people. But in my business, I keep them involved. I keep them, when they put the 2 points on the board, they get a shout out. It doesn't matter. Just keep them in the game. A lot of people in my business have fallen off track and come back and become diamond. Like my last diamond, the first time she hit diamond was like 2012. Her name is Myra. She just hit diamond again. You know what I mean? So you can't necessarily give up on people. Just keep them in the fray. Keep loving on them if obviously they're showing up and doing the work. And that's always going to be really helpful. All right, let's move on to onboarding. This was another important question. I think this is the unicorn question of the business. Everybody wants to know, what is the secret sauce? Emily, we'll toss it to you for your onboarding system. But I will mention that I believe both Emily and Ashley have done really kick-ass presentations at like leadership on onboarding that were like mind-blowing. I know Ashley did one that was so great at one of our leaderships. So search that on YouTube. All right, Emily, onboarding process.
Okay, so are you asking as far as like how I recruit or what I do once they are recruited?
I think once they're recruited.
Once they're recruited. Okay, so it's the same thing for everyone. And I kind of have a system now. I would say the last couple of years, it's been very scattered, and I just kind of like throw up everything in the air, just hope for the best. But like this year, I finally have it figured out, I think towards the end of last year. So what I do is I try to do a sneak peek almost every month, but now I'm doing like a coach mentorship every other month, because I noticed when I was doing those every month, I was just overwhelmed and wasn't giving people the attention they deserved. And so now I'm doing the coach mentorship every other month, sorry. And so I recruit that handful of people. I will just throw out a goal for myself, whatever it is. And then that way they're all kind of starting at the same exact time. And they're, they have the same goals at the same time and whatever. So I recruit them. They all go into a group text strand with me. But if there's like 20 of them, I'll do 10 and 10, just because I feel like 20 can just be too much. And so I'll do 10 and 10. And then, I let them know, I'm like, this is where you have me 24/7. If you have a question, ask. If you, need help with something, please just ask in here. And then I'll pop in there and be like, hey, we have a team call tonight, at this time, or so on. So that is, I think, been a huge game changer, is that group chat. And then if someone hits Success Club or gets an SC point or signs a coach, they get recognized in that chat and in my team page, because I want them, to feel, recognized in that group since they're new. And then I want the other people that are newer and that signed up at the same time as them to feel like it's possible for them, because they see others that started at the same time as them to do it, that did it too. So they go into the group chat, and then I send them an email the day they sign up. And the email is so simple. I talked about this at leadership, but I keep it so simple. I don't have like this huge letter with all this information, because I'm someone that gets so overwhelmed by too much information. I just freeze, and then I'll be like, I'll read that later. And then I never read it later. And so it's like, hey girl, thank you so much for joining the team. I just wanted to let you know about I said like, join our team pages. This is your first thing, is join these team pages. And then I wanted to let you know about your first goal as a new coach. And in this letter, I say it is to help 3 people sign up with what you just did. So I don't go into challenge packs or Success Club or how many, PV for Shakeology. I don't go into any of that. I literally say, you want to help 3 people sign up with what you just did. And then I tell them why, like, you can get your free ticket to Summit, test group, all of that. And I have found that has worked so well because it doesn't overcomplicate it. It's not too much information at once. And they're like, oh, well, I just saw how I signed up. Like, that's easy. That's, and I always say, what do you think? Is that possible for you? Is that something you think you can do? And I've probably had one person say that's too hard. Like, they're all like, yeah, that challenge accepted. I can do it. And so then, they go in that group chat and then they all know that is their first goal. And so that's when I start shouting them out individually in that group chat. So I think that's probably my biggest key for my onboarding process is letting them know about Success Club day one. I even talk about Success Club in my sneak peeks now because I want them to have that in their mind of how important it is. When I first signed up as a coach, Ashley told me, if you want to be successful, you're going to hit Success Club. And so that has just never left my brain. And I tell all my coaches that because I do feel like it's a huge key to success in this business. And then that's also helping me like get success starters, by them knowing that right away. Oh, and then they also, this is very important, they get a link to my training. It's our university that we put together. And it's just a 15-day video series that we made on Thinkific. And it's just like, what is Shakeology, how to invite, how to follow up. Very simple, probably 8 to 10 minute videos. And then when they graduate, they get a one-on-one call with me. So they get that one-on-one call when they finish the training. And then also once in a while, because I have that group chat going, if I'm feeling like the chat's getting quiet or things are, going as well as I want, I'll be like, hey guys, do you want to hop on a call on Thursday at 1:00? And you're like, yep, let's do it. And so they know that, that they will always have me to help them whenever.
I love it. I think you just laid it out so perfectly. Ashley, anything you want to add to your onboarding system?
The only thing that I was going to add, because Emily and I have very similar systems, but when I very first started, and you're not dealing with kind of the volume where you need, because one of the feedback things that I got when I did the speech at leadership was, well, what if you don't have coaches, right? What if you don't need like a huge onboarding system because you are having trouble recruiting coaches? So in the beginning, I still think that as a CEO, you are a CEO of $1 million business. I think that is one thing that's very important if you start identifying as that. I identified as a CEO of $1 million business long before I had $1 million business. But you carry yourself differently and you act differently and you set things in place now so that when your business is, generating $1 million for the company or for yourself, you've got those systems in place and you protect your time. So as a CEO, I think it's important. One of the things that I did in the beginning that I learned real quick not to do was get on the phone with everyone because I had heard, get on the phone. So I would get on the phone and I would do personal one-on-one getting started right calls. And I was terrified at first because, you're scared of everything. I had no idea. I had a notepad. I would go up in my upstairs back corner room. I'd be sweating profusely, just so nervous to walk this person through onboarding and stuff. And then most people don't do anything with the business. So then what I learned is to set something in place that they have to do before they get my one-on-one time. Now what they have to do is go through, I do the same thing, chats and all that with Emily and make them go through the university. Now I make them go through that university and graduate that before they get on the phone with me. But in the beginning, for you, what you could have them do is put together like a goal sheet and they have to fill that out and send that back or, something. I'm not sure what you want to put in place, but I think it's important that you put something in place because if they won't even do one task, then they're not going to be the coach that's going to go balls to the wall or even really any, I don't know how you do less than balls to the wall, but like they're not going to do anything, right? So it's setting something in place to protect your time as a CEO and also make sure that you're not spending too much time on people who aren't willing to even invest a little bit.
That's perfect. I'm not going to add anything. My onboarding system is very similar. It's simple, right? An email tells them what their goals are for the month. I do have a follow-up question for both of you. Are you guys still hosting that Emerald call that you guys were doing that year that both of you shot up to 15-star? Because I ended up doing that for Diesel Nation and for my personally sponsored team, and that thing was money. Just that 30-minute, this is how you get to Emerald. You guys still do that?
I am. Ashley kind of's had a crazy life, so.
Yeah, I have not. And also I'm trying to figure out, and this is something that's come up on CAB a lot, just transparency, is what makes Emerald sexy now, and kind of revamping that, because one of the things that made Emerald really cool before was they got leads, and with, like, we're just in kind of a time where we're figuring out the incentives now for Emeralds. And so, I've not really had time, but I also don't know exactly how to share with them what is badass about Emerald, other than long-term, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, long-term is like the vision of this business is the biggest thing, but I don't know. I don't know if you guys have feedback on that, actually, for everybody, including me, on how are you sharing that Emeralds are amazing?
Emily, you want to take that?
I'm just doing what we've always done, Ashley, like our calls, just talking about like it's the first step to your business, your first piece of recognition as a new coach, kind of like that first confidence booster. And then, a lot of the trainings that I'm doing now, though, like diamond pushes and stuff, they have to be Emerald to even join. So I'm like planning them where we do an Emerald push, and then in order to even get in there. So that's makes it sexy to them too, is being able to be a part of like a top 10, top coach group.
Yeah, I agree with that. One observation, and I wanted to just make it because it's something that's become readily apparent to me. In the last year and a half, I've really tried and stepped out and connected with a bunch of the top 10 coaches and the coaches that I admire in the business. Even though I've been in the business for a really long time, I still have a lot to learn. And that's one thing that I am, is coachable, and I learn from every single person that I connect with. But one thing that has become incredibly transparent to me over the last year is that all these top coaches, the Emilys, the Ashleys, the Holly Hilliers, when they speak to their teams, they speak as if this is easy to do and their systems are easy, and they don't overcomplicate, and they keep it so simple. And the way that they speak with such confidence, like, just do this, XYZ. This is how you get from point A to point B, is you recruit 3 coaches or you recruit 8 coaches to, like, it's just, this is easy to do. And I started doing that. I feel like maybe perhaps before I was overcomplicating a very simple process. And when I shifted to, you guys, diamond is easy. 1-star is easy. Like, let's go do this, XYZ, do the Emerald push calls. It doesn't take I used to do 30-day trainings to Emerald like 5 years ago. What in the freaking world? Now in 30 minutes, I can pop 4 Emeralds because I just tell them this is easy to do and go do it. So watch your language and watch your systems, that they're not overcomplicating a really simple process. And if you use language like, this is easy to do, this isn't hard, success up is not hard, diamond is not hard, it's all mindset. It just changes their perspective. If you make it hard, it will be. If you make it easy, it will be. And that's pretty much something that I've observed lately of how these top coaches are running their businesses, and it's brilliant. Okay, so we have some questions on the chats. Nicole says, actually, let me go up to Megan. Emily, when you were a diamond coach and crushed your way to the top, what tips do you have from that stage of your business for recruiting high numbers to coaching, talking about the business, etc., before you had the success that you've earned to talk about now?
Okay, so back then, I remember that I doubled every goal that I had. I didn't shoot small anymore. I wanted to be a 5-star elite coach for 4 years, guys, and it never happened. I was a diamond coach. And so I was like, well, that goal is not working for me. So let's, you double the goal, you're going to probably double the work you put in. And so, I will never forget, I wrote it in the team page. Ashley had said, what's your goal for the year? And I wrote out 10-star elite coach. And I deleted it because I'm like, Ashley's going to think I'm stupid. I haven't even hit 5-star elite. But I wrote it again and I left it there because I'm like, maybe if I put it out there and I double it, then I'll work harder. So sure enough, I doubled my Success Club goal every month. I doubled my invites. I made a point to, I had this aha moment when I went to NLC that Bonnie Ingalls said, you attract what you talk about. I hadn't been talking about the business. I'd been talking about the programs and everything for 4 years, but never the business. So I made a point to talk about coaching 2 times a week, no matter what. I wasn't making a ton of money yet. It was just small things, being able to have lunch with my husband, or, being home. You don't have to make a ton of money to be able to make a good post about something like that. And so I was like talking about the business more. I was inviting more. I didn't have the fear of inviting at all like I did for 3 years, because I had seen what ADD obsession had done for my life. Like it changed my whole body, my whole mindset, just put me in a way better place than I was before I started it, depression and everything. And so I'm like, I want every single person to have this. Why have I been so scared? Because I didn't believe in it enough. Whenever a coach tells me they're too scared, just too afraid to invite, I'm like, well, you don't believe in this enough. Because if you do, you want the whole world to know about it. You will slide into anyone's DMs because you could change their whole life. And that's kind of where my mindset went, was I wasn't afraid to invite to the coaching opportunity because my life was transforming with it, you know. And now, like, actually my first invite ever to coaching, and I hate saying this, but it's a really cool story. It was Taylor Cardness, and she hit elite last year, 5-star elite, with like her first year and a half. So that's another thing, you know, that was my first invite. And I'm like, that gave me the courage to just invite all the coaches. And that was a cold invite. And I know some people don't believe in that, but I saw this girl and I just had to have her on my team. So I didn't know her. And, you know, she also didn't have a transformation or anything. I think she lost 50 pounds with ADD obsession. And so she wasn't, you know, have her transformation. She hadn't finished her journey. She'd never done even a Beachbody program. And I just said, I need you on my team. And she joined. So I think that was what came with it, though. With me doing a program 100% and changing my life with it, I got so much confidence in everything when it came to the business. Myself, my posts got better because I didn't really care what anybody thought, because I wanted everyone to have this. You know, same with my invites, everything. But that is probably like the gist of what happened then. I just doubled everything, and fear was kind of gone.
Yeah. It feels like when I talked to your team at the retreat and I talked about shattering your ceiling, that's exactly what you did. You just shattered your ceiling. You were like, you know, if you set the ceiling at diamond, then it's going to be super hard to get to diamond. If you set the ceiling at 5-star, then it's going to be super hard to get to 5-star. You've got to shoot for the moon. You've got to shoot for the moon, because that's going to double the work, double the vision, double everything. So you've got to start setting bigger goals for yourself with a bigger vision, because clearly there's people on this call. I'm looking at Moira. She just jumped into the first panel of Zoom, and I'm like, another one, right? Like, she just kept shattering her own glass ceilings until she's built this dream life. And that's what everybody needs to do. And that's what you need to teach your teams to do, is don't just shoot for 6, shoot for 50. Don't just shoot for diamond, shoot for, you know, 10-star, 15-star, because that is what's going to back the work. If you guys can mute yourself. Okay, next question is, what
Can I add something really quick?
Yes, of course.
So the one thing that I also want to just hammer in on is Emily doubled, yes, her goals. And she said she doubled her work. But I think the doubling the work gets looked over by everybody. I had, like Emily said, I had 5-star elite on my thing for years or whatever. I had on every year for like 3 or 4 years, top 10 coach on my vision board. But I did not do the research to figure out, what does that mean? What numbers are top 10 coaches hitting, and how much work do I have to put in? And I remember I started before Bonnie Engel did. And Bonnie Engel shot to the top way faster than me. And she was like crazy successful. And I was like, how is she doing this? Like, you know, and then I got on a call. I didn't get on a call. I searched one of Lindsay Matway's public team calls, and Bonnie hosted, and she said she did this amazing training, and she was like, and I'm working 80 hours a week. And I was like, oh, that's how she's doing it. She's working 80 hours a week. And here I am, I'm doing, you know, 1 to 2 hours a day. Well, of course, Bonnie is going to be more successful than me, because I had the big goal, and she had the big goals, but she also had the big work. And I feel like, you know, it's one thing to say, I want to be elite this year, but it's another thing to say, I want to be elite, or I want to be a superstar diamond, or whatever. And what does that look like? And how do I do it? Because there is so much work that has to go in to all of those goals. Putting it out into the universe, like if Emily just would have typed out, I want to be a 10-star diamond this year, putting it out into the universe is not enough. Your belief is not enough. You've got to then do the work to back up the belief that it's possible. So then Emily puts it out there, and then she got to work helping people and hitting those high numbers and recruiting and doing all the things that are going to ensure that she's going to get to 10-star, you know, whatever the goal is. So I just want to make sure, if you guys are setting big goals, and we want you to do so, you've got to also remember the big work that goes into achieving those goals.
And I mean, I can, like, that just made me think about how back then I was working. There was days that I was at my computer until like 10, 11 at night. I was working the most I'd ever had. And I always remembered, actually, it was like speed of leader, speed of the pack. And kind of like what Kristina said, if you're just like you are I think Ashley said this, like the pace car for your team. Who said that? Someone said that before.
From Danielle.
Danielle. Okay. So like, if you're only shooting for, 2-star, well, then your team's probably going to, this is probably brutal of me to say, be emeralds, right? And then I think Chelsea Pearson said this when I was a brand new coach. She's like, if you're shooting for Success Club 5 and that's what you hit, your coaches probably won't even hit Success Club. If you hit Success Club 10, your coaches might get like 2 or 4 points. And so that's what made me want to double my I'm like, if I want my coaches to do more, I have to do more. I have to show them, it's my duty to show them what is possible. And so like back then, like I said, I was working so many hours, like 10 hours a day. I'm not even joking. And it was full of me getting on calls with, people in my downline, not even my personally sponsored. If there was someone in our downline that needed to be emerald, so this girl could hit her goal of diamond, I was on the phone with her talking about how to get it done. And I still do that to this day, not as much as I used to, but I would do that every day if I had to, when we were shooting for 15-star. And so it was just doing things that I know I would have loved as a new coach, or things that I did love as a new coach, and basically just setting like the example and giving everyone my time.
So let me ask you both this question, because you both top 10 multiple times. Top coach, Ashley, was the work worth it? Because those numbers scare people, right? Like, what? So Emily, was it worth it?
Oh my gosh, a million times. Like it was, my husband was deployed at the time when I was working those long hours, and there was time, and I was pregnant, and there was time I was like, is this like gonna pay off? It was exhausting, and half the time I was taking naps in between. And then now I have Ella and I'm home with her. I'm going to get emotional, but like, I don't have to work 12 hours a day or, worry about anything that I ever want to get her, a school I want to put her in, whatever. It's all worth it, because I get to spend every second with her that I possibly want. And I look back to that year that I just, like, I don't want to say killed myself, but, like hustled the most I'd ever in my life. And I'm like, oh, I would do that over and over and over again to get what I have today. Like, I mean, I could go on. It's just, yes, it was worth it.
Ashley, was it worth it?
Yeah. So for me, I felt like I worked really hard for 5 years without really having a runner on my team. I would have people, and Emily was a coach. I always say this, like Emily was a coach. All of those, she was like the 3rd or something coach I ever signed up, but she was originally in it for the discount. And then I told her hit Success Club. So that's what she did. She hit Success Club, but she didn't really do much beyond that. But I was also pace setting at a very low bar as well, right? I wasn't always rank advancing, and I was hitting Success Club 10 or something, 10 to 20 most of the early years. So I felt like for 5 years I was exhausted. Like, when the hell is this gonna break for me? Like, is it? And then I started, just at year 5 or so, I started getting complacent and saying like, okay, well, I guess I just don't know how to lead people, and this is how hard I'm gonna always have to work. And year 5 was the year that Emily blew up, and then the whole team blew up, and I had to look that limiting belief in the face that I had with myself, like, can I be a leader here? Like, because I had started believing that I couldn't lead people. And that year, everything changed, and I worked really, really hard. So for 5 freaking years, it was exhausting. And then this last year, I mean, and now, now we make 7 figures and Beachbody doesn't guarantee any level of success or income. But we can do basically, live whatever kind of life we want. And this last pregnancy was really, really hard for me. And I'm still in a very hard season. And I have not really actively recruited since August. And I've, of course I'm still hitting Success Club and stuff, but I just recognized my bandwidth was not what it used to be. And right now I had to shift my energy. And I think, holy shit, what would I have done if this pregnancy came in the middle of that climb? Like how would, and so my story is a little bit different where it was 5 years, but what if you guys work your asses off for 5 years and in year 5, you become a millionaire? I mean, not that that's what's going to happen, but it could happen. And wouldn't 5 years of that be worth it? And then I juxtapose it with when I worked at Nike. I worked for Nike for 5 years, and I started making $52,000 a year. And when I left Nike 5 years later, I made $57,000 a year. So in 5 years, they gave me a $5,000 raise. Whereas at Beachbody, I went from making $0 in year 1 to $1 million. Well, last year 2 years ago, in year 5, we made 800-some thousand or something. But like, yes, it was worth it. It was worth the stress. It was worth the wondering if anyone would ever join me. It was worth constantly showing up. It was worth those times where I thought, I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I should just go back to my, corporate career and climb the ladder. Nope, head down, keep trucking up the hill. Like, it was worth all of that to get to this life now. And so maybe like for Emily, it was 1 year and her life completely changed. Maybe for you, it'll be 5 years and your life will completely change. It's the whole part, all of it's rewarding. You're changing all along the way. It needed to be 5 years for me because the growth that I had to go through to become that person. But then you won't always have to work that hard when there are seasons of life like I'm in now. And I can't work that hard. So yes, it was worth it.
I wanted to have that moment because at this level, you're pushing hard and you tend to get tied up too much on the how-tos and you forget the why. And so I wanted Emily and Ashley to reflect and say, what has this done for me? And I want you guys to always do that because the business has wild ups and downs. And as a CEO and entrepreneur, you have to be able to manage that. And you're going to have life and all the things happen at all times, but always remember that the push and the work will pay off because I think you just nailed it, Ashley. There's so much growth happening. Even when you feel like you're ramming your head into a wall and no one's listening, like you're growing so much. And that's just going to take you to the next level. That book, Ashley loves the quote, every next level is going to require you to overcome the next devil. And so you've got to keep pushing, keep grinding. Okay, one more question from Morgan. Hearing 20 PS coaches in success of each month for the top 10 is very helpful. I agree. How many working coaches are top 10 coaches recruiting per month, would you say? Since both of you are there. And Moira, you too, if you want to chime in.
That I think is what's so beautiful is I recruit, take the pregnancy out of it, huge numbers. My average success club's like 250. So, the percentage for me of working coaches is very small. I recruit discount coaches and then try to help them believe in Beachbody. Moira, if she's on and can talk, Moira recruits, I don't know, it was like 10 a month. And she, and same with Melissa McAllister. Melissa McAllister, who's been in the top 10 for, 7 years or something like that, talks about how she recruits 10 coaches a month, but so it's more, for me, it's quantity over quality, which is, it's not what I want, but that's just how my business has taken shape. But Moira has been much more quality versus quantity. So I think that there are multiple ways that you can get to top 10. There's not one way to do it.
Agreed.
Emily also hits high numbers like me, which also goes back to being a pace setter. Because I feel like if I had never hit high numbers, now I have tons of people on my team hitting, and Emily too. We have people every single month hitting 60, 100, whatever, where that would not be possible if we weren't doing that. And not that that is your goal, but if you think Success Club 10 is hard, you're wrong. The reason that you think it's hard is because that's what you're telling yourself. Success Club 10 is easy. It's 5 freaking people. You're not talking to enough people or you're not building a deep enough belief. It's your ceiling that Kristina talks about. Your ceiling is where you set it. So anyway, Emily, this is your call and I'm totally
okay, so my goal every month for Success Club is 100, like minimum is what I shoot for. But when I do my coach mentorships, I try to bring on at least 20 new coaches. So like those things that I told you I do every other month, I will try to make sure there's like 20 solid people that want to run. not all of them run, but like that is what I'm looking for. But then every month it's probably 30 to 40 coaches, because I do the discount thing like Ashley does too.
Okay, awesome. How many people do you invite daily, weekly?
I don't really have a number for that because I don't have a set time where I sit and invite people. I literally will just scroll, or, you know, someone DMs me, I'll look at their profile. And then if I feel like I need to invite them, I will. I don't have to invite to boot camps anymore, really. Besides, like, I always put up posts and stories and, you know, content, but I don't have to personally invite. But for coaching, I do. And it's on it. I don't have a number. It's here and there, whatever.
What I don't want you guys to hear in that message is, oh, I don't have to personally invite.
Yeah.
I used to look for shortcuts like that too. Like, oh, they're successful without inviting. That means I can do it. I'll just do public invites. You have to earn the right for that. I remember listening to a call with Melanie Mitro, and she said, I hated inviting. So I worked my ass off to get to the point where I didn't have to. And we're still inviting, right? But like Emily said, in a public way instead of those private messages behind the scenes. So I also don't have a number for how many I invited as I was growing. I'm now in attraction marketing, but you got to earn that right. And we also talked about this on another call, and Moira said, I still have to invite. I'm not in attraction. So she's a top 10 coach, multiple time top 10 coach, superstar diamond, is still inviting. So I think you also have to figure out what makes sense for your business. So when Emily says, I don't invite personally anymore, don't hear that you don't have to invite. Don't look for a shortcut. The work you still got to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I heard Lindsay Matway say once, I'll say what Lindsay said. She goes, I set the goal and then I don't stop inviting until I hit that goal. You know what I mean? So you can't really put a number on it. If you have a goal of SE 30 or 40 or whatever your number is, you just don't stop until you have, you know, until you accomplish that goal. Right. So just keep doing it. I think, you know, I don't really tell my team, you got to do this amount, because you just got to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to keep doing it until you hit the goals you want to accomplish. So that was really good insight from both of you. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Does anybody want to unmute themselves for one more question, and then we're calling it quits, because both of these women have little babies that they need to tend to.
One thing while you guys are thinking of a question that I will also just add real quick is when you're writing down your goals on what you should do, never do the minimum. I think Beachbody still says, like, the power of threes, right? Invite three people, whatever. I don't think 3 people is enough. And I also, when I was growing my business, felt like splitting my hour in all those different places, like follow up, invite to coaching, invite to challenge pack, invite to a conversation, that was stressful for me and chaotic. So I would break it down to a day. So like one day I would invite 100 people. And then, you know, I did follow up Fridays. So on Fridays I would follow up with like 50 to 100 people. So that and my goal, it wasn't how many do I want to invite every day. It was, I want to have no less than 30 to 50 active conversations going at any one time. Even if the conversations were not about Beachbody, they were just building relationship conversations. I wanted to wake up every morning with 30 to 50 new unread messages in my inbox with people that I would continue to follow up with and check in with every single day. So don't set your goal at 3.
That's awesome.
And just to kind of give you an idea, my coaches on my team, like when we were, like my elite coaches, for instance, they're sending, I think they shoot for 100 invites a day, just to kind of give you an idea of what they're doing. And I mean, there's coaches on my team that aren't even elite, and they do that because they see Heather and Taylor do that, and it works. So you got to put in the work.
And one of my elite coaches, sorry, Kristina, you can add too, but if you guys have a question, unmute yourself. I don't see anyone unmuted yet, so that's why I'm still talking. But if you have a question, unmute and I'll just shut up. But one of my coaches, she's an elite coach, Autumn. She is the busiest person that I know. The busiest. She has 3 kids that are school age, sport age. She's shuttling them all the time. She works a full-time job. She's married to someone who works a full-time job, plus is a baseball coach, which baseball is like 13 months out of the year. So it's like, you know, very, very, very busy. And she's like, I don't even have time to write down or track who I invite. I have no time to be organized. I just have to invite. So, you know, just the business building activity is more important than knowing exactly the numbers. And it goes back to probably what you said, Kristina, that she is inviting until she hits the goal. She's not stopping.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Last chance.
Anybody? I have a question. Is how, like,
Hey,
and I'm driving, so I'm not gonna look at you. But okay, so not now, but in the beginning when you were running and you were kind of a new coach and you were mentoring new coaches, how long did you, let's just say you have a coach comes on that she runs, she may even hit diamond, and then you notice she starts falling backwards. So what are some strategies and skills for those coaches that come on strong and then you notice that they kind of just start fizzling? I know we don't want to drag people, but is there some advice you can give for that instance? If that makes sense.
I think so. I think you're just saying when people like fall off, diamonds especially, like what do you do? So I've had a lot of diamonds fall off. That's just the honest truth. And I could sit there and figure out how to save them and make them come back, or I could just find more. And what it comes down to is you can't make anyone do anything. And I mean, so I try not to focus on those that are gone. I mean, I lost a 2-star this year and it was really, really hard. And I was like, well, it just motivated me to find a new 2-star to put my energy in. Someone that's going to give me their energy and time, like deserves my energy and time. So I don't have a good answer for that because I just try not to waste time with people that aren't giving me, their time and their effort.
And I think you can tell too, both Emily and I know we've talked, like you can tell if someone fell off and they're still motivated and it was just like, oh shit, my emerald dropped, what do I do? You can tell, is that person still working and active? Are they hitting Success Club, or have they fallen off the complete everything? Do they still deserve your time or not? Because we've had fallen diamonds. I know there's diamonds too that you've had, Emily, that we don't give up on them. And like Kristina said, you just keep showing them love and stuff. But if they are falling, like you cannot work for them. So yeah, I'm the same as Emily. I think we learned that from Danielle. It is a numbers game. So we are always going to be, even if no diamonds fall off, if I am a solid 15-star in 5 different business centers, I'm still always going to be recruiting. We will always stay rooted in phase 1 of recruiting, because the people that got you here are not going to get you there. So the people that got you on this call into 1 and 4-star diamond aren't getting you to 5, 10, 15-star. So you just always are showing this to more people.
Yeah, absolutely. I will just add, Holly, that in my business, building a strong team culture has been one of the things that I've always wanted to do. And that helps incredibly. Like when you really focus on developing that culture. I haven't had as many diamonds. I absolutely have, but I haven't had that many fall off completely and I attribute it 1000% to our team's culture. They just stay on. They're lifers and they'll fight for their ranks and they'll do things. Not everybody, but I'll end with this. You have heard from 2 women that like define my business is my responsibility. And if I swear to God, that should be all of our tattoos. My business is my responsibility. That is why they are where they are. And, I'll toot my own horn. I've built a huge business too. My business has always been my responsibility. If I don't have diamonds, that's on me. If I don't have my rank, that's on me. And you better believe that I'm never, ever going to stop fighting for my personal business, because while people will stop fighting for theirs, that is not what I'm going to do. And if you have that mindset, then your business will always continue to thrive. All right. On that note, thank you. This was awesome. You guys. I'll post up the recording in the Legendary Leadership Master. I'm so confused with all these launching legends, legendary leadership, all the things. I'm going to post it in all the groups so you guys can have it. I hope this was helpful. You guys, congrats on Elite Points Day, and let's continue to build. Let's have a better report next month. Mwah. Bye, everybody.